So, can you identify yourself in terms of your name and and how you let me think. Your name and being the founder of Legacy Project.
Yes. My name is Jamila Capitman. I am the founder of the youth portion of Visions, which is called the Legacy Project.
So, Jamila, why did you start the Legacy Project?
I started the Legacy Project because I was aware of how much Visions had shaped who I was, and how it was important in terms of navigating the world. I had just come back from my first year at college at Howard University in DC, and I had seen a lot of community organizing on campus. I'd seen a lot of young people doing things on campus, and I was feeling inspired by that, and also feeling like I wanted to see that happening in Boston, and was looking for a way to do that. So it was this combination of understanding the importance of the Visions tools for myself and my own personal life, and also wanting to start something, wanting to start some kind of movement, and knowing that Visions had to be at the core of whatever movement that was. So I was brainstorming with my friends at the time who were actually also working with me in terms of Visions. Actually, I left something out. Can we backtrack?
Yep.
You're going to edit this?
I think that's probably, yeah, we're going to edit it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because there's a part before this that's important in terms of the history of it. We had an opportunity in 2006 to work with a group in Boston that wanted to get youth engaged in health disparities education. So we began an open mic, a monthly open mic called Community Hip Hop Health Outreach, and it ended up being very successful in terms of bringing young people from all over the city who wanted to perform, who wanted to get out and do something in the community and be in a setting with other young people that was positive. And the only thing that existed like that at the time were like house parties and dances and stuff like that. So when we saw the success of Community Hip Hop Health Outreach, which didn't bring the Visions tools in, the idea started to develop of let's do something that's a combination of a Visions workshop and this open mic thing. And that was how the idea developed.
So what, if you were to tell someone, like in a minute, what's the purpose of Legacy? What does it hope to achieve in the world?
The purpose of Legacy is to teach young people the Visions principles, the tools, this concept of multiculturalism, so that it can carry on. Visions was started by a group of people who were growing up in the civil rights movement, people who were very much affected by this overt racism that Visions talks about. And what I wanted to do was continue that fight against oppression, that anti-oppression work, and make sure that youth were still aware it's still happening. It might not look the same as it did when they started Visions, but it's still happening.
Beautiful. So does the Visions work actually work with young people? How do these Visions tools work with youth? What have you noticed they get from it?
I have noticed working with young people that the Visions tools help them to keep their minds open. I think that in high school...
Can you start that over without your hand by your ear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Visions tools help young people keep their minds open. They are ways of being able to see outside of the moment. I think a lot of young people deal with conflict and just this general sense of butting heads, and when you're in conflict and you have the Visions tools, you're able to step out of that conflict and kind of look at what is my goal here, what is my intention here, how can I impact this person in the way that is going to be most effective for me, least combat for me. We can take that back.
Yeah, sorry, you gotta do it again.
Okay. So how I've seen the Visions tools work with young people is giving them the ability to keep their minds open, even in the moment. Young people deal with a lot of uncomfortable situations, whether it be interactions between one another that are tense, or with teachers, or with parents, or with younger people. Those conflicts can be very hard. They can be traumatic, and I think when you have the tools to deal with them, when you have the ability to try on someone else's perspective or think about your intentions, you can create the impact that you want in a moment like that. So these young people deal with the day-to-day the same way that any other young people, but they have this set of tools so that when they come into a situation where they're bumping heads, they're able to step back and say, what do I want to get out of this situation? How can I turn this into a learning moment or an opportunity rather than something that's going to ruin my day?
Right. So I'm thinking now about funders who'd want to fund it. Will you talk about, because they're going to think, like, does this affect dating violence? Does it affect violence in the neighborhood? Does it help, those things? So how would you say those tools and practices can affect life outcomes for young people? What have you seen, or what do you think about it?
What I've noticed among the young people that have been in the Visions program since it started is that they are socially conscious young people, and that's part of their identity. So they don't take any BS. I don't know a better way to say it, but they can see when they are being handed a wooden nickel. They can see when things are not politically correct. They can see when a negative situation is the outcome of a larger institutional issue. They can see racism, they can see sexism, they can see homophobia, they can identify it on all its different levels, and that gives them the empowerment to deal with it. It gives them the confidence to name it and deal with it. And they are willing to take risks because of that confidence. They're willing to speak to an adult who might seem intimidating because of that sense of understanding adultism, and knowing that they, as a young person, have a right to speak up, and that adultism is real, and that they can fight through it just by standing there and speaking up. Or they know how to deal with a safe sex situation, understanding the idea of a woman's body as a, we're going to go back, I'm going to do it. But they know how to deal with a situation when it comes to sex or being pressured into not using a condom, and because they understand that as a part of sexism, right? And they understand things like, gay bashing and all these different really painful parts of being a young person, bullying, as the ramifications of oppression, as the manifestation of this deeper level oppression. And that knowledge within itself is just so empowering, and it gives them this confidence and this understanding of the world that a lot of people their age don't have. And they see themselves as catalysts for change. They understand that responsibility, and they're excited about that responsibility, and they're like little teachers. And that's the other part, is just the thing with young people at that age of 14 to 18, they gossip and they talk so much and they share the things that they're learning. So each of these Visions youth is like a center of a community of young people who want to talk about this stuff. So they've got 8 of their friends who might not come to the Legacy Project workshop, but those are 8 conscious young people. So every Legacy Project kid is a potential, Legacy Project in that town. And it's really, it's beautiful. They plant seeds wherever they go, and they see that as part of their responsibility, is to carry on the legacy that they're a part of. That worked. I hope there's something in